hitting your social media sweet spot. Again, my name is Bob Stewart. Thank you for joining me, everybody. If you want to connect with me on Twitter or Facebook, it's facebook.com/ActiveBob, or I'm on Twitter @ActiveBob. Hitting your social media sweet spot. I'm going to start with just giving you what I believe to be kind of some truths to social media, and then we'll get in and look at kind of some of the things that you can actually apply or do that may have an impact on helping you, create better connections with the people that you're connected with, and maybe even drive some traffic to your website, and possibly, if you're really good at this stuff, create some new connections for your business. So the first kind of truth, as I see it, is there is no magic formula. Okay, Pete called me an expert. I think that's a stretch. If anything, nobody out there has a magic formula for social media. That you are not going to sit down, have this perfect post, place it out there, and all of a sudden the leads and the traffic and the visitors to your website blow up, and all of a sudden you create something that goes viral. And right, there's no magic formula for putting a piece of content online that people absolutely love. So I think you need to keep that in mind at first. And we can, through kind of a systematic use and really being aware of what we're doing, we can create good brand awareness, we can create good interactions with people, but there is no kind of silver bullet that's going to completely change your career because you dived in to social media. I think above all else, when we're talking about social media and engaging on social media, the number one thing is you need to be social. Okay, if you don't like using these platforms socially, so if you don't enjoy going on Facebook, you don't enjoy being on Google Plus to connect with people, or using Twitter, you are not going to be able to use these for your business. Okay, so if you sat in here, you got in here today and you thought, man, Facebook, this thing, I can't stand this thing, and I just wish it would get out of my way, but somebody told me that I've got to get involved or I'm going to go out of business. And I don't think that's the case. I actually read a really good post today from Bill Loveland, who said, look, you can absolutely be wasting time on social media, and for some of us, we probably shouldn't even be here, right? There's lots of tried and true ways to create relationships and generate business, right? Market Leader offers some great solutions to do that, but if you don't enjoy being social and using social media kind of on a personal side or in your free time, you are not going to be somebody that ends up being successful with it from a business perspective. So really keep that in mind, okay? If you came here today to get some tips that are going to help you use this thing that you can't stand to log into every day, this is probably not the place for you. When we talk about being social, one of the things that we're going to see, and I'm going to give you guys a really good example of a guy who I think does this extremely well, but one of the things that we need to realize on using any of these social networks, and I think Twitter might be the one where I see people having the most kind of egregious violations here, is you need to find a really good balance. And part of that balance is I actually enjoy using this socially, and then I can find ways to kind of mix my business in and hopefully use social media to drive additional engagement for my business. We need to think about identifying our audience, and when we talk about our audience, for each of us, that's going to be a little bit different, and we may have different audiences that we speak to. You're definitely going to be thinking in terms of potential consumers or customers for my business, or maybe people that I've done business with in the past, my sphere, right? You may also have different audiences, and one of those could just be kind of people local to you. You may want to be seen as kind of this local expert in your market, or you may have an audience that's your peers, right? So you may be looking to build up kind of brand awareness on a referral basis and getting good content in front of folks that aren't necessarily going to buy or sell a house with you, but that may refer somebody who's going to do that. So we'll talk about one of the most efficient and effective ways to identify your audience and make sure that we're sharing things with the appropriate people. This next one, focus on one medium. I really believe that if you want to, every day there's a new social network out there that we could be a part of, and I'm connected to a lot of real estate agents out there, so I probably get more of this than you guys do or than the average real estate agent does. But every day I'm getting invited to something new. Hey, sign up for Quora or join this or I just invited you to connect with me here. And half of these things I've never even heard of. I wonder if there's anybody there. I always wonder, what would be the business benefit of joining this next new shiny object? I really think initially you need to get focused on one thing, okay? And so we're going to talk a lot today about Facebook, and 80 or 90% of you guys that checked in earlier said, hey, Facebook is the social platform that I am using the most. But I really believe that it's imperative you focus on one thing to get started. And then once you've mastered that, once you've actually seen that, hey, I can generate business out of that, it may be that you just double your efforts on that particular venue, because, I really believe, like Twitter, for instance, that's going to be a tough one for you really have to enjoy using Twitter socially, like we talked about a couple slides ago. If you want to actually get business benefit out of it, you have to be able to enjoy using any of these platforms socially, but I really believe you need to get focused in on one medium before you even consider using or utilizing some of the other ones that are out there, because what ends up happening is we kind of, we give half effort to four. Let's say it's Google+, it's Twitter, it's LinkedIn, and it's Facebook, and everybody said, hey, you got to be on these 4 social networks, and man, if you're not out here doing these things in these places, you're missing out, and you're never going to make it into the next year in your business. I mean, we know that's not the reality, right? These are just a way to kind of enhance our business. If we don't have a strong business already, it's not going to matter, but I believe that you need to focus on one medium. Today, we're going to talk about
Bob,
Facebook.
that's kind of a relief, if you don't mind me saying. It seems overwhelming at times to try and learn all these different social media options that are out there, and probably a lot of agents online that feel the same way, that think, how can I master all of this? There's so much out there online, I can't keep track of it all. If we could just focus on, for example, Facebook, a lot of us are familiar with that. That's maybe a little less overwhelming.
Yeah. I mean, look at some of the more successful real estate agents out there. They've decided to focus on one area of their business, and they've just gotten really good at that area. It might be a niche. It might be, hey, I'm going to be the expired listings guy, and I'm just really going to get really good at doing expired listings. And then once I've got that nailed in, I've got a system in place for that, I know that it's actually working for me, then I can move out and I can think about, okay, what's that next step? What's that next thing I want to add to my marketing mix? Definitely.
Deal with it incrementally.
You got it. All right. This one doesn't need a picture because I think you really need to focus on what I'm saying here. I've had a lot of people who say, well, how am I gonna find new clients? I don't think social media is going to land you a ton of new clients. In fact, going into social media, I would really be thinking about it as a way to strengthen relationships that I currently have. Okay, so do not think of social media as this kind of, social media is not like internet lead generation like Market Leader offers, where I'm driving people who are going to Google to my website to look at properties, and I'm capturing their information, and I'm able to to track these people down over a series of months and ultimately get them in the. That's not what social media is. And if you go into it with that idea in mind, I think you're probably setting yourself up for failure. Okay, social media is a way for you to strengthen the relationships that you currently have. So keep that in mind. It's an important kind of what I believe to be a truth, because I just don't think there's a ton of people out there using Facebook or Twitter or even LinkedIn and Google Plus that don't know you, that all of a sudden see some post from you and are going to say, oh, I need to buy a house with this person. So we foster relationships using social media. One of the things that I believe, when I look in my Facebook stream, or I look at what agents are doing on Active Rain, or how they're using Twitter, one of the things that I have to believe that a lot of them are out there kind of shooting from the hip. There's not necessarily a strategy or a plan in place to say, this is how I'm going to use this. And when you do, we had a real estate brokerage, and we used to generate tons of leads, and we had 130 agents that worked these leads, and it was really easy to see the people that would end up succeeding with the leads versus the ones that would completely fail, and they would have the exact same leads offered to them. And it became obvious that the people that succeeded had a plan, right? They had a systematic way that they worked their leads. And the people that failed, they just shot from the hip. They called when they had a chance. They didn't have any kind of systematic follow-up or plan for how they were going to go about converting this business. And so, I don't think that a Facebook or a social media plan needs to be super involved. In fact, it can probably be pretty simple, right? It doesn't have to be very complex. But you have to have something in mind. You have to kind of say, look, here's a couple of things that I'm going to do maybe on a weekly basis where I know that these things can be effective to, raise the level of engagement that I have, allow me to get in front of more people, allow more people to see the things that I'm sharing. And so it can be something pretty simple, right? It might be 3 times a week I post about my business. Twice a week I reach out to somebody based on something I learned, or twice a week I share something with someone specific, or maybe I find something repeatable that I can do week after week, or every time a certain action takes place, I can share that. So it doesn't have to be complex, but I think that you should be thinking in terms of, okay, what are some kind of measurables that I can put in place that I can hit, that I can then come back and kind of look and see, okay, are these things helping me? Because if I'm just always shooting from the hip, 6 months from now, a year from now, I'm going to look back and say, well, that didn't work. And that's what, gosh, we saw this so much with lead generation. The people that would shoot from the hip or lead conversion, they would always be looking back and saying, well, that didn't work. Well, it didn't work because you didn't actually do anything concrete or sequential. Okay, so there's a couple of kind of truths, I believe. So kind of keep those things in the back of your mind as we go through here and talk about some actions that we can take. And so the first one that I'm going to suggest, and we're going to go in here and look at this live in a second, is creating lists. And so on Facebook, you have this ability. Google Plus kind of has a similar thing where you put people into buckets, but you have this ability to create lists. And so Pete's going to launch a poll for you guys right now. I want to get a quick kind of gauge of how many of you guys are have created lists in Facebook. Okay, so get in there. Let me know how many of you guys have created lists in Facebook. Okay, so so about a third of you guys have said yes. I create lists. 68% of you said no. I have not created any lists in Facebook, and 5% of you can hardly manage your own life. What the heck is a list? So let's go in here for a second and show how we would go about creating a list, or how these lists can kind of be effective for us. And so I'm in the back end of my Facebook, which when you're on a live call like this, it's maybe a little bit scary to be in the back end of my Facebook at this point, because you guys can see what's happening here. I hope that my Facebook friends mind their manners for the next 5 or 10 minutes that we're back here. On the left-hand side, so I'm on my home, right, which is kind of the default page that we would all land on. We see our stories in the middle. This is not, for anybody that's ever been on Facebook, I'm not showing you anything you've never seen. On the left-hand side here, we're going to see a little area that says Friends, and you'll see that I've got some kind of groups set up in here already. So I'm going to click on Friends, and what it's going to do is in the middle here, it's going to give me a chance to create a list. And you will notice these lists you will already have some lists in there, okay? In fact, I've got some geographic lists, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Bellingham, Washington, and Seattle, Washington. These are lists that Facebook will actually generate for you. And they do this based on, I believe, and Pete and I were talking about this yesterday, I believe it's based on areas where I have groupings of friends. Now, I got a bunch of friends in the Ann Arbor area. I recently moved from there. I grew up in Bellingham, so I've got a bunch of friends in Bellingham. I have my profile set up to Seattle, so I believe that it's creating a list for me based on where my profile is located, but it's also created these other kind of geographic lists based on where I have large groupings of friends. One of the cool things about these lists, and I just kind of stumbled across this in the last couple of days. If I come into this Bellingham, Washington list, so this is giving me all of my friends who live within 30 miles of Bellingham, Washington. This was actually default set up to 10 miles. It was giving me a 10-mile radius around Bellingham, but I actually lived in a little town called Blaine, which was about 20 miles from Bellingham. So when this list was defaulted to 10 miles, I wasn't covering my friends in Blaine. So what I can do is I can come out here and manage this list, and I can actually edit the radius on this list. And so it's actually going to show me in here once it loads up, or once I move this. Here's my radius. So I can set a radius to say, maybe I wanted to give myself everybody that's within 40 miles of Bellingham, and it's going to cover all of this area. And Blaine's this little town right up here on the border. So with 40 miles, I'm covering Blaine. I really just wanted to cover Blaine, so I can get it back to 30. Let's see if I go to 25. Will that cover it? Oh, yep, sure enough. It covered this little area over here that I'm interested in. So I'll go ahead and save that list. Now I've got a list in here, a geographic list that I can share content with. And I'll show you sharing content with a certain group here in a second.
That's really
so let's
cool.
come back.
You could customize the radius there.
Yeah, that's a pretty neat little feature, because one of the issues, I don't know if it's an issue necessarily, but you cannot create these geographic lists yourself. Facebook will simply look at where you have big groupings of friends, and they will create these lists for you. But if you want to get a wider range on them, you have the ability to go in. Again, I'll do it one more time real quick. So if I come into my Seattle area list, you'll notice it's giving me people within 25 miles of Seattle. I can come up here and manage this list and edit the radius, right? And then I can come in here and say, hey, I want to get a little bit bigger. I've got some friends that live down in Puyallup or Tacoma, and get out here a little bit so that I'm giving myself basically the whole Puget Sound region in that case. And then save that. And now I'm seeing stuff from my friends, and you'll notice it just brought in Scott because he's in Tacoma. He wasn't, I wasn't seeing that from him before.
So Bob, real quick, a bunch of people are asking questions about business pages, and I don't know the answer. I was trying to answer. Does this all apply to business pages as well, lists and managing areas, things like that?
No. Business pages are an interesting thing. Let me take a shot at business pages when I get into what Shelton. I'm going to show you guys a really good example later. I don't necessarily believe. I think you should focus your efforts in one place, and just like I talked about focusing your efforts on one medium, I almost believe that your efforts should be focused on more on your personal profile than they should on your business page. And there may be some people that think that is absolutely ridiculous. My feeling on this is the more things that I have to manage, the more places I'm trying to get people to connect with me, the less effective I become in getting them to connect with me at all. And so I really believe that a focus on your personal profile on Facebook is super important. You know, people like doing business with people, and let's revisit that in a little bit here when we go in and we look at Shelton.
Okay.
Because your business page, everybody has said, I want to connect with your business. And so when they like your business, they're essentially giving you permission to market your business to them no matter what. On your personal profile, there's going to be things that you may consider sharing that you don't necessarily want to share with everybody. And so these lists allow you to only share certain content with certain people. So if I wanted to create a brand new list, I might come in here and call this past clients, right? This is going to be stuff where I share, you know, how-tos and home upkeep tips and, you know, things that are kind of relative to somebody who might have bought a house from me and maybe consider reselling in the future. Not content that I necessarily want to share with all my friends, or right. So I'm going to create a list for my past clients. Now, when I come in here, I can just start typing their names in here, and I can add them in this fashion. Right? The other way that I could add them, so let's say I create this past clients list, okay? So I've got past clients, I got Jay in here. I'm going to come back to my friends, and I want to add some other people into this. I'm going to go in and see all friends, and from this area right here, I can add any of my friends now to any of the lists that I've created. If you are anything like me, and I have 2,000 people, 2,000 friends that I'm connected to, I have almost all of them in a list, because at this point now, when I accept a new friendship, I place them into a certain list. And most of the folks here are in my real estate list. So if I was to come into and look at Jay Thompson, right, I can say, where's he at? So he's in Seattle, and then I have him in real estate people. So Jay's a real estate guy. I've got him in my real estate people list. If I wanted to come down here and add like Kevin Kaufman, for instance, so he's not in any of those geographic lists. I don't have Kevin in a list. He's a real estate guy. I can go ahead and add him to my real estate people list. This could take a while, okay, and I understand that, but the idea of identifying an audience and sharing content with that audience that's relative to them is super, super important. So, gosh, if you don't have any lists set up, first off, go in and see what Facebook may have done for you already, okay, because there are some lists that they'll set up for you. In fact, like close friends, they will kind of default some lists for you. Acquaintances, these family, these are lists where Facebook has just said, like, Blaine Senior High, Eastern Washington, where I went to school at. These are some lists that, based on what they know about me, right, they've created some lists already. These lists down here at the bottom are the lists that I've created myself. So definitely get in there, set up a couple of lists, okay? If nothing else, get in and look at your geographic lists and see if you could expand those things based on the radius to cover maybe some more people that you'd like to be sharing with. Okay, so once you create the list, use them, okay? And every time I post, I have a chance to determine who I want to share that content with. Okay, so if I go in there and I get a list set up, like I said, for my past clients, and I've written a blog post about, you know, cleaning out your chimney and why it's important to, you know, in the fall to make sure your chimney's cleaned out, I might not want to share that with every single person on my list. That might just be something I'm interested in sharing with my past clients. So I'm going to come in here, and as I post, so I'm on the home area here, right? How's it going, Bob? Well, it's going great. Right? I have the chance to determine who I want to share this with. So maybe I just want to share this with my friends and family. Okay? I'm going to come in here and post. It's only going to be shared. It's only going to show up in the news feeds of the people that I have put in my friends and family list. If I wanted to share it with, you know, the people in Bellingham, right? If it was something that was, hey, there's an awesome concert going on this weekend in Bellingham. I'm not going to be there, but man, I wish I was. Could share that with just the folks that are in the Bellingham, Washington area. And again, I moved that radius out to be a 25-mile radius of Bellingham, so it's going to cover all of my friends up there in Whatcom County.
So you can really make sure that what you're not posting something that's significant to one particular area. Friends in Florida aren't seeing it.
Yeah. We're going to talk about, actually, we're going to talk about it right now. Let's talk about EdgeRank for a second. I kind of blew that slide. I was going to say, does anybody know what this is? This is Facebook's EdgeRank, right? It's kind of their fancy little algorithm that shows you how likely it is that the content you post will show up in the feed, the news feed of the people that you're connected to, right? So there's the U is for affinity, right? The score between the viewing user and the edge creator. So every time you create a piece of content or post a piece of content on Facebook, they call that an edge. And your affinity means, you know, how often does the person that I'm connected to like that? Here's what starts to happen when you create groups is if you're focusing the content that you're posting on people that it's more relevant towards, you start to build more affinity, right? Because let's say you have 2,000 friends and you post something that's really only relevant to the people in Seattle. And so, you know, 1,800 of my friends are not in the Seattle area. What ends up happening is those 1,800 people, they don't interact with my post, which hurts my affinity between me and that person for when I'm wanting to post something geared towards them. Does that make sense?
So yeah, that does make sense. So don't show things they won't be interested in.
Exactly. So what happens is they don't like it, they don't comment on it, my affinity with them gets weaker, and then when I'm ready to post something to them that really would be meaningful to them, based on the fact they've ignored the last 15 things I've posted because it had nothing to do with them,
They're less likely to see
they
this.
miss the thing that I wish they would have seen. Okay,
Yeah.
so these lists can really help you build that affinity because you know you're sharing things with people that they would potentially be interested in. Now the weight, there's different weights for different things. There's different weights for posting pictures or posting links, right? Facebook likes pictures, for instance. They like basic status updates. They don't give as much precedent to links. But if we built up affinity with the people that we're gearing our content towards, right, that's going to help our edge rank. And then there's some factor based on decay, which is how long ago was the thing created. And one of the awesome things, and I'm so jealous because I've seen people already in the last day, and I think it just started yesterday, where people are getting access to the new Facebook social graph, right, which is their new search function. That decay factor of EdgeRank will start to kind of change a little bit as Facebook search becomes more popular. And stay tuned. We'll dive into that new Facebook social graph search in the next couple of weeks because it's potentially a massive game changer, and I'm just so jealous there's people out there that have access to it at this point. I do not. Okay, so we can create lists, right? So get in there, like, you know, 60. It's settled at 66% of you do not have never done a list. So, you know, I would encourage you at least get in there, see what Facebook's already set up for you. You know, consider adjusting some of the radiuses on your geography, but definitely get in there and create some of your own lists as well. So the next thing that we can do is just share what you do. And in going through the last couple of days, and I've probably spent more time on Facebook in the last 2 or 3 days than I have in the last month, because I've literally just been looking for good examples of things that people are posting. Here's one from a lady who I'm friends with, Irina. She's out of the San Marino, California area, and she just shared her day, something from her day. Okay, we see people doing this all the time, and there's kind of maybe this, I don't know, I want to call it a misnomer almost, that it's not okay that as a real estate agent we share some of the things that we're doing in our day-to-day business. Now look, if all Irina ever did was talk about her real estate business, people would get tuned out to that eventually, right? Oh, here's Irina again talking about how awesome her real estate business is. But if she's mixing that in, you know, she's talking about her kids or grandkids, or she's talking about where she, you know, the things she's doing or what's going on, right? When she starts to just mix in something from her day-to-day real estate business, that's okay. And this is a good one, right? Very tiring. She presented 43 offers on her Pasadena home listing, right? The real estate market's on fire. Look at some of the interactions she got there. She got a share. She got 40 people that liked the post. She got 28 comments. And what this starts to do is this starts to help her build affinity, right, with some of the people that she's connected to. And so now, as she starts to continue to post, right, those people are going to be more likely to see and to be served up the content that she's sharing. Posting things about your day-to-day real estate life and business is totally fine as long as it's mixed in, right? As long as it's not just this consistent bombardment of you talking about your real estate business, right? We're trying to kind of find our sweet spot here.
So this is interesting because there have been some questions on the questions here asking about, you know, should I be marketing my business in a personal page, or isn't that supposed to be on a business page? But what you're saying is, this isn't necessarily Irina pushing her business, use me to buy or sell a home. She's just sharing herself socially. Like you said, be social.
Right. I think people maybe get a little bit too scared that, like, there's these rules out there that if I want to talk about my business, I have to be on my business page. I mean, you guys, any one of us, forget being a real estate agent, any one of us have a job, right? And we spend a third of our life at that job, right? A third of our life we spend sleeping, a third of our life we spend on our job, and a third of our life we spend socially. So, you know, it would probably make sense that we could spend some time on our personal profile talking about our job. And we see it from other people, right? We see teachers say, oh, you know, last day of school, awesome to be, can't wait for the summer. We see people all the time talking about their jobs, right? And like Pete just said, she's not in there saying, hey, it's a great time to buy or sell a house. I see people doing that. Could you do that? Yeah, you can do that. Is that the most effective way to do it? I don't think so, right? I mean, this is just what she's doing here. She's letting you know she's definitely a real estate agent, okay? She had a really good day yesterday. I mean, it was tiring, right? But her client got 43 offers. right? I mean, so she's just sharing something that happened in her day. It also happens to let you know that she's a busy real estate agent who's got a super happy client right now, okay? So you can definitely be sharing what you do.
So it's kind of like the same balance you want to have at a cocktail party, right? It's not bad to talk about the fact that you do this or that, but to just walk around the party and just hound everybody for their business is not really socially acceptable. You're just saying be social.
You got it. That's why one of those first kind of truths is if you don't enjoy like if you don't have anything else to share on Facebook, this might not be the right venue to be sharing your real estate business because people will begin to tune you out. I don't know if you saw on I've got a restricted, there's some people that I don't want to listen to them anymore. Right? I've restricted having to hear about whatever it is that they're talking about, mostly politics, but
right.
Anyway. I'm going to take you guys in and show you Sheldon Neal, and Sheldon is he would appreciate me saying he's a little bit of a kooky dude. Okay, he's a British guy. He's from New Jersey, and he's a little bit out there. But every time that he closes with a client, every time he helps a client buy a new house, he takes a picture of it and he does something creative there. He gets in the background of the picture somewhere with his little sold sign, and then he just talks about, hey, it was an honor to help his friend Virgil, who's a firefighter, close on his first home. Cheers, Virgil. I want you to look at, he got 65 likes and 42 comments on that particular post, including one from Virgil, okay, from the guy saying, man, Sheldon, I can't thank you enough. You did such a great job helping me out. I want to show you Sheldon's Facebook page, and I called him yesterday because I would never just, like, I'm connected with him. He's allowed me to be connected with him. I would never just share somebody's Facebook page without asking them. So I called Sheldon. I said, hey, Sheldon, you've been doing something, and it had caught my attention over the last number of months. You've been doing something that I thought was really cool. Do you mind if I share it? And he said, heck no, share away. He said, I'll tell you what, Bob, and he's got a British accent, and I can't do a British accent. I wish I could, because this would sound way better coming from his British accent. But he said, this idea of taking a picture of myself every time that I help a client buy a house has maybe been the most effective piece of marketing that I've ever done, which shocked me. And I said, really? Wow. And he said, yeah, I sold 40 houses last year, and this gave me an awesome opportunity. He's a one-man show. He said, this gave me an awesome opportunity to share something that I love about the business, which is helping people buy a house. So let's go back a little bit. We'll go way down here on Shelton's timeline. So we're around the 1st. We'll get earlier in December here. We'll come back. I should have went a little bit slower because we've missed a few here. But I want you guys to kind of notice, it's not all him talking about selling houses, right? He's got his kids, he's got a picture of him and his wife. But here's one, right? What a great Christmas present. Here's Sheldon behind the tree right here. If we were to blow this picture up, it'd be a little bit bigger than that. 39 likes, 18 comments. Here's another one, right? He's up in the window, 59 likes, 22 comments, right? He had looks like a bunch of closings in a row here, 41 likes, 28 comments. As we go back,
wow,
we can see Sheldon doing this, and he's getting a ton of kind of recognition for it. He told me, he said, this has been amazing. He said, when I go and drop my kids off at school, he said, I'll have parents come up to me and say, hey, Sheldon, man, I've loved the creativity with the pictures you've been posting after you sell somebody a house. He said when he goes to like local real estate meetups, agents will come up to him and say, man, that's such a great idea. I wish I would have thought of that. It's getting him a ton of exposure. So when I'm on the phone with Shelton, I said to him, Shelton, have you ever considered in those posts, or I guess I assumed he had considered, and he just chose not to, but I said, Sheldon, have you ever considered actually tagging the client in the status update? And he kind of paused for a second, and he said, no, I haven't. And he's like, why haven't I thought of that? Had he been tagging these people in the post, not only would his friends be seeing it, because these are his friends, these are the people he's connected to, right? If he had been tagging the clients in this pictures, then their friends would have been seeing it as well. And so now what better way to kind of let, who is this family here? Gabriel and Go. right? What better way to let their friends know who helped them buy their house than to tag them in this picture? And he was like, okay, I'm absolutely going to do this. I'm going to start doing this. He's like, I can't believe that I didn't think of this before. And I had kind of initially thought, well, maybe he didn't do it because he was just a little bit leery of tagging them. And he said, there's a few people that aren't Facebook friends or that don't have a Facebook page. I mean, he said, but any of clients that do, I end up, throughout the process becoming a Facebook friend with them. I end up becoming a real friend with them. And I think a lot of you guys would say the same things. You end up becoming friends with your clients when you spend a bunch of time with them, or at least acquaintances in a way that you would become Facebook friends, right? So he said a lot of these people will actually come in here. In a few of the instances, the actual client came in and left a comment or engaged on the post that he made. But look, as we go through here, right, we see lots of other fun stuff from him, lots of his family stuff, or sharing inspirational types of things, right? So he's not just in there touting his real estate business. Here's one though, right? Oh, nice Christmas surprise. He hit the RE/MAX Hall of Fame and he posted about it, right? 90 likes, 44 comments. He's building that edge rank up so that the things that he posts gets in front of the people that he's interested in having it in front of. So then I'm looking through his thing. I'm thinking, all right, well, what else is he doing? And I come across this post right here. Okay, so if we were to have gone back far enough, we would have seen this picture. So what did he do? He took those pictures. He created a calendar out of them, and at the end of the year, he mailed those calendars out to the clients that he helped, right? This was not Sheldon posting this picture. Michelle Lynn, his client, actually posted it to begin with, and then Sheldon shared it. So she posted, great surprise to come home. We made Sheldon's RE/MAX calendar, right? She was excited about it. And in the comments, there's actually another one of his clients who comes in here and says, I want one. And here he is, right, following up, right? Check your mailbox. You have one outside next to your door as well, right? Well, what a great piece of marketing on just an idea that he kind of came up with of a way to share his business on Facebook. I love this one. There's one more I want to show you from Sheldon here. So
while you look for that, Bob, one thing I noticed here is that he is being kind of kooky, but he's being very genuine. This is very him. So he gets an award, he posts it on Facebook, and everybody likes it because people just like his online personality. They like his personality, right?
I've met Sheldon a number of times offline. He's the same, like, that's him. He's the guy that would hide in the bushes and have the soul side. Like, it's not a stretch for him. Right, all of us aren't going to be able to do this, right? It doesn't fit all of our personalities, but there may be something, and I talked earlier in kind of having a plan, something that you can figure out to do that's repeatable. For Sheldon, this is absolutely something he can do that's repeatable. I promise you this, in 2013, I will see these things from Sheldon, and he will start to incorporate that component where he tags the client in it, and it gives that a chance to be exposed then to the client's friends and family, right? He posted one about a crazy busy start to the new year. He's got accepted offers on all of his listings, and then just kind of a little snapshot out of his MLS here. Somebody in here, look, Sheldon, call me, please. I need to run something by you about the house my daughter lives in, about our house that my daughter lives in. Like, that's powerful stuff, right? I mean,
that's fantastic.
Like, this lady's thinking, like, hey, maybe we're going to sell this house, or maybe we want to refi or whatever, but she's, because of Sheldon posting this, because he gets that awesome engagement on the post, he's showing up in Gina's stream, which is making her remember, oh, yeah, hey, I had some questions for my real estate agent, right? Sheldon's that guy.
Wow, yeah, that doesn't get any better than that. And when you start tagging your clients in there, now all their friends and family are seeing the new house they bought and the fun real estate agent they dealt with. What a great way to start that referral process.
I want, Pete, launch that next poll for me. The next question is going to be, how many of you guys would actually consider tagging your clients in a status update on Facebook? Okay, because I think there's probably some people out there that would say, no, that's a little bit too much for me. How many of you guys would do it? So it looks like about 10, 15% of you guys are saying, no, I wouldn't see myself doing that. About 80% of you guys are saying, yeah, that's something that I would consider doing. So think about that. Think about what's a good way that you can, it might be, hey, awesome day today out looking at houses with, Bill and Jenny. Didn't find the perfect one today, but I know that we're going to find it real soon. right? Could be, you know, awesome. Just got a house, just got Jenny and Paul's house on the market. Such a great price. No question, this thing's going to sell in short order, right? The act of tagging that post exposes it to the friends and family of your client.
So not only are 80% of the people saying that they would do that, and we'll share that real quickly, but 5 or 6 or 7 people also commenting saying, yes, they do it, they do it, they do it, and then a few people saying, what's a tag?
Yeah. Tag,
so that's another question.
Just real quick, what's a tag? So I'm going to come in here. I'm Sheldon, let's say. So I'm going to use the @ sign. So let's say I say, God, had a great day out showing houses with my amazing clients at, oops, I don't even need the @ sign actually. So let's say, who's my client? Jay. Jay Papazon's my client. Jay Papazon and Wendy, I don't think I have his wife. I don't think I'm friends with her, but if I was, didn't find anything, but I know we will soon. Right? Now, I might just post this to the people in Seattle, or maybe I make it public.
Can you send that to multiple lists as well?
Yeah, I could send it to multiple lists, so I could say, ooh, that's a good question. I'm not sure if I can do that. I don't think I can. Let me see. Let me see if I hold command. Nope, I got to pick one list. So I might make this public, right? I might just say, well, I want everybody to see this. How would I get that? Go back up. Public, right? There's some stuff that, as a, this is not like invasive of my privacy necessarily. So hey, I'm going to post it. Boom. That's how I tagged them. I just typed their name in there. I know that now this is going to show up, kind of depending on Jay's settings, it's going to show up on his profile page. It's potentially going to be exposed to his friends as they see. Like I'm seeing Julie commenting on Shelton here. Just like if somebody had tagged somebody in here, I would see I would see that from my friends. So that's how you would tag somebody in a status update. All right, let's move on here. Ooh, gosh, I got.
If someone making a comment, you want to be careful how you do that. Obviously, you do. You don't want to.
Totally agree. You wouldn't want to say something like, "Hey, just put in an offer for $25,000 under asking price with my client Johnny. We're totally going to get this house at a steal." Right? You like be mindful and sensible about the things that you're posting, but yeah. It's not, it's okay to do that. Okay, share amazing properties. I want to give you a couple examples of properties and ways that we can share property with somebody. So let's say, look, all of your listings aren't going to be $1 million listings, right? We know this, but there are some awesome properties. Let me get signed in here. Oops. There are some awesome properties in any one of our markets that everybody would kind of dream of owning. Oops, search. Right? So maybe from time to time you share just an awesome property in your market. And that's okay, let's try this. Mercer Island, that's a ridiculous area of Seattle where we're definitely going to find some houses that are in this range here. So I'm going to come in here and look for Mercer Island homes, the $10 million range. They're going to come in here and say, look, my clients aren't going to buy this house, but people like to look at awesome houses. Okay, so I'm going to come in here now. I'm going to pull up some photos of this just ridiculous house in Mercer Island. And I'm going to say, wow, like, look at this place. Who wouldn't want to dream of being in this place here? So I'm going to come over to so I have kind of this Facebook page that I use for testing these sorts of things out. And, I might do something like, holy amazing kitchen. Like, look at this place. Unbelievable. If you have 6 million, it's yours. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to post a link to the images, right? It's going to give me a chance now to thumb through some of these images and find the one that I want to use. Here's something about posting, okay? Look at this garbage that's showing up in here. When you post a link, you can actually click on that, and I can say amazing kitchen in Mercer Island. And then I can come down here. Oh, this one doesn't have a description. I'll show you that on the next one we do. But I get through here, I pick, here's my kitchen picture. I post it, right? I've put something out there. It's just real estate porn, I guess, for lack of a better term, right? But posting amazing listings that are in the MLS, right? Posting them from my website, it's a great way to kind of get cool stuff in front of people, right? They know I'm a real estate person. They know that I love amazing kitchens. Okay, maybe it's the amazing view. Maybe it's the amazing backyard. Maybe it's the awesome doors. This is something that you could actually do on an ongoing basis. You might have a series where every week you post a picture of the most breathtaking kitchen for sale right now in the MLS, right? We see companies like Zillow doing this sort of stuff with like national, and they get all sorts of, but you could do this for people local in your area.
That's really interesting there. Get that out online.
Post something specific. Now, in any one of our markets, we have desirable types of properties, okay? So I would encourage you to be posting about desirable types of properties in your market and allowing people to see what those are, okay? So here's an example, 7 great bank-owned foreclosure properties for sale in Finney Ridge. So Finney Ridge is a really nice area of Seattle, okay? Including a 2-bedroom condo for $129,000. Anybody that lives in Seattle knows that the idea of a 2-bedroom condo on Finney Ridge for $129,000 is ridiculous. Okay, so I'm posting something specific and desirable, right? The 7 bank-owned foreclosures on Finney Ridge, including this 2-bedroom condo for $129,000. So how am I going to do that? Well, I need to have a website that allows me to do this. And here's my plug for Market Leader, okay? Market Leader's websites allow me to do posts of this nature. So let's say that I was looking in Finney Ridge. So I'm going to get the homes in Finney Ridge. Okay, now I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to do maybe the foreclosures that are available for sale in Finney Ridge, right? I'm going to go, I could just leave this at 0, right? I want all the foreclosures that are available on Finney Ridge. I'm going to hit search. It's going to give me those 7 properties right now on Finney Ridge that are currently available. Now this URL is kind of messy, so I might have wanted to go back here and say, you know what, there's not going to be any of these. Like, I don't care about those. I just want the multifamily, the single family, and the condos. Now I'm going to hit search again. My URL is a little bit cleaner, doesn't have as many kind of variables in it. So I'm going to take this URL right here. I'm going to jump over to my Facebook, and I'm going to say, 7 awesome deals on bank-owned foreclosures. And I'm going to do it. I'm the worst typer. Oh, how embarrassing. All right.
I don't think
I'm
anyone
going to paste my link in there, right? It gives me kind of this auto. So, and maybe I wanted to say including that $129,000 2-bedroom condo. Blah, got it. Now, remember, I can change this stuff. So here's the 7 foreclosures in Finney, right? I can also come down here and change this. So if you want a smoking deal, here it is. A 2-bedroom condo, blah, 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 right? Pick my picture. Let's get to one of the condo that's, there it is. That's that 2-bedroom condo. Post. Now I've got a link out there for these 7 awesome bank-owned foreclosures, right? It's not beyond the scope of possibility that somebody in my sphere, somebody that lives within 30 miles of Seattle, now I did that one public. I could have come in here and made that, to just the people in Seattle. And in fact, I would have wanted to do that, right? I don't want to kind of muck my feed up for all those other people outside of Seattle, right? But maybe I've got a list set up for investor clients I work with, right? If there's only 15 investor clients I work with and 7 or 8 of them see this and like it or click through, right? That ups my affinity with them. It makes it more likely the next time I have an investment opportunity that I want to share with them that they're going to see it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It also draws them to your site, so they're engaging on your IDX site.
Man, I'm long-winded. I'm sorry, you guys. We've got 7 minutes left. Let's go in here and
a couple people are mentioning real quickly that if you're just posting an amazing kitchen online, perhaps it's great to shoot that listing agent a quick email, make sure they're fine with you posting that on Facebook. I believe the bank-owned properties are fantastic. Banks love that, and especially the FHA homes love that you post those online and advertise those as much as you want.
Yeah, HUD homes, I think the listing agents agree that anybody is able to post HUD homes.
Mm-hmm. They have to, yeah.
All right, copy what works, right? We don't always have to be original thinkers. And in fact, some of the best real estate agents I know take all of their ideas from other people. So copy what works. Zillow, here's a great example of something that works. Every Tuesday they post this kind of A or B. Which house do you like better? Why couldn't you do something like that in your own business? I literally put this together yesterday in like 5 minutes using a thing called iPicky. I could almost show you, gosh, look, okay, I'll do it really fast. Let's see how fast I can actually put that thing together. So here's iPicky, right, iPicky.com. I'm going to create a collage. I'm going to use 2 pictures in my collage. I'm going to give it a little bit of spacing so the pictures, that gives them a chance to do the words. I'm going to make a different color on here for the background. So maybe I want my background to be, whatever, this turquoise color. I could mess with that. I'm going to come in here now. I'm going to add my images. So I'd already uploaded these images, but boom, there's my floating home on Lake Union. There's my craftsman on Capitol Hill, right? I'm going to say I'm done with that. Now I'm going to come in here, add text. I'm going to call this, boom, A, floating home. B. Now I would have spent a little bit more time. Craftsman. Right, I'm done. I could come in here and fix the exposure and local contrast and make it look pretty, but not save it. Collage with 2 homes. Boom. I've now got that thing on my desktop to be able to come over here, and if I wanted to post my picture, right,
oh, that was easy.
pull it up, and essentially in 5 minutes, I've created something that looks like this. Okay. Now what I did here is I found the actual listings on my website. I created a Google shortened URL link to them. Super simple. But it allowed me to kind of have something just like what Zillow did, right? And they got all this money and all these resources, but this took me 5 minutes to post this kind of, which property do you prefer? What am I trying to do here? Well, one, I'm trying to get them to look back to my website, but I'm also just trying to get that affinity, right? That kind of connection that allows them to see the stuff that I'm going to be posting in the future. Share great info from other sources. You can share your blog posts online, but you can also go out and find other people who are creating great content. Like if I was in Seattle, I'd be looking at the Seattle Times real estate section occasionally to see kind of is there great info out there. Like this was an article about how Seattle, is predicted to have some of the strongest home appreciation or home price appreciation in 2013. It's a great article for me to share with people that are local to me. They're in Seattle that might be interested in knowing that their home prices are probably headed north. Take advantage of current events. I love this. I don't know if anybody follows Manti Te'o's, that whole saga, but here's Jared Christensen, who's one of the funniest guys I know, talking about how he's excited to be writing an offer with his new client, Manti Te'o's girlfriend. He's sitting across from nobody, right? But he's a real estate agent, right? That's a funny thing. He's taking advantage of a current event to post something on Facebook. I mean, this thing had 192 likes, 4 shares, 65 comments or something ridiculous. So,
not from Notre Dame
put your
fans,
thinking
though.
cap on and come up with something a little bit funny to share, to again just create that affinity or that to help increase your edge rank. Okay, we're almost done here. Post something to someone that you know that they would appreciate. So take an opportunity to use Facebook as a place where you would actually go out of your way to have a one-on-one kind of conversation with somebody. And one of the things people are always saying about social media is, oh, I feel like it's eroding our ability to connect with each other kind of one-on-one. Well, it doesn't have to. right? You can actually go out of your way to, if you see something that you think one of your, somebody you're connected to might be interested in, take a second to share it with them. Take a second to drop by their page and just say, hey, I was thinking about you today. I saw this, I saw this amazing building for sale, and I was thinking about a couple months ago when you were talking about maybe wanting to open that flower shop, whatever it is, right? I mean, take the time to post something to someone where we actually go to their page and you post it directly on their page, or you post a status update and you tag them in it. And then use something you learned to reach out in real life. And if you're not doing this right now, there is a great phone script that Carrie's going to share with you. She shared this YouTube video. If you were actually to Google real estate phone script, there's a video from IMSD, who's one of the partners of Active Brain and Market Leader. It's called the Internet Marketing Specialist Designation. It's a course put together by Ben Kinney. But this video you can watch. You don't have to be a part of IMSD. They've shared this video where Ben shares a bunch of really awesome phone scripts. And one of those phone scripts is him calling up somebody that he is connected to just talk about how they're doing, and then to ask them if they know anybody that's in the market or thinking about buying or selling, right? He's looking for referrals from his friends and family, but we can do this based on something we learn about them on social media.